they were really sharp, you know, if you said something to them, they could define it straight away. Famously, I once asked somebody to define the French word sensible, which does not mean sensible, it means sensitive. I said, what does sensitive mean? And a wee guy said, well, if somebody hits you in the head with a brick and you greet, you're sensitive. Which I thought was very Govan, right? I also learned in Govan, I once learned, I started in guidance, right? And basically what I learned a lot about parental involvement. One boy was sent home one day for calling the lovely, very nice deputy head, who was a little bit roly-poly, a fat bastard, right? Mr McPhail. So sent home. Mr McPhail duly phones the mum, says to the mum, hello, this is Mr McPhail, I'm just phoning to tell you that your son is being sent home. But in the background a voice comes out, who's that on the phone? And she goes, it's McPhail. And the father goes, ah, fab. In Govan, I famously first heard the word, I'm going to get my dad up to you, or I'm going to get my social worker up to you. The lovely Miss McQueen there, who always was immaculate and had the best discipline I think I've ever seen, once said to a boy when he said, I'm going to get my dad up to you, said, is he a big man? To which the response was, no, he's wee, but he's game. There weren't a lot of characters. You don't get the characters new, but we had a wonderful home economics teacher called Joan Tom, who had an all-boys class, and one day it was a cheese and wine, she was beautifully dressed, and they went, you never get dressed up for us, because she always had her white coat on. So the next day, she came in, and I'm not kidding by the way, a full-length evening gown, gloves up to here, a first roll and a tiara. I'm not making this up, because I did see it, and she taught the class dressed like that. And she said, you said I never get dressed up for you? Well, here we go. Hazel, my very good friend Hazel, sitting over there in the corner, who is a home economics teacher who has some brilliant stories to tell when she worked in Easter House. One of my favourites, the rhubarb identity parade, when Hazel were getting to make rhubarb crumble, and that was fine until a wee woman from across the road came up with a heady, somebody had been stealing a rhubarb, and they had to all lay out the rhubarb and she had to identify the rhubarb, what had been nicked. There was also the time when somebody's glass eye fell down the sink. And Hazel's a lovely person. I could say something there about spaces and teeth, but I'm not going to say it. So basically, Hazel didn't like this person, and when they came up and went, Miss, she went, yes. Hazel also said, she's very thoughtful, she said, you better check that no one that's coming on Wednesday's got a glass eye, because if you tell that story, there might be a fake. I don't think any of you have got a glass eye. The other one, my favourite, is name 3 typical Scottish dishes, and somebody wrote a plate, a cup and a sauce. So Hazel, I've got a new one for you, Hazel. Okay, so here's one from Friday night that the home economics came out with. Advice to home economics teachers. On a cooker, on the front, there are dials, there are no knobs. When you're making pastry, you fork it, you do not prick it. At all costs, avoid mention of jugs, especially big ones. And never ever during a fabric lesson tell a pupil to go into the cupboard to get felt. So then I moved to Smithycroft, okay, at East End. I asked my pals Jim and Ronnie and Roger, who had worked out in Cairn Hill together. I asked them for advice. They said, take raw meat, which I didn't think was really helpful, to be quite honest. Smithycroft was a fantastic school. I wasn't there long, but I was very happy. My good friend Linda, over there, was the dux of the school, and I was very, very fortunate to work with her there, and we worked in modern languages and guidance, and Very, very happy indeed. It was still quite academic, well, kind of, and they still taught Latin. Some of the people, am I going on too long?
No.
It's good.
Obviously don't get out much. Am I better than Eric Clapton? I promise not to bugger off. Right, sorry, I'm only kidding.
Who shot the sheriff?
Oh, I know well, we had a deputy that shot the Johnny in the arse. That's another story altogether. So, Latin, we had a lovely, head of Latin called George Littlejohn. And the pupils would get a bit fed up because they couldn't understand why their pals in the French class were getting speaking tests and they weren't getting any speaking tests in Latin. So there you go. See what I mean, Carol? There we go again. Right, there we go again. Anyway, George's two main techniques for teaching were facsimile transcription and polychromatic adumbration. For those of you who are not familiar, that means copying out and colouring in. It's going to get a bit blue now, so if you don't like swearing, cover your ears. Right, so one person who's just retired recently, Gavin, my lovely colleagues Gavin Steele and his wife Pat are here. We work together in guidance in Smithcroft. And our head of guidance, who rarely emerged from his office, I might say, but he was lovely, he was really nice. Is that nasty? It's true though. But he had to meet with parents, so there was one boy who got excluded and his dad, to put it mildly, was not very happy. So a very acrimonious interview ensued, at which point the dad was telling Willie to stick the school where it was really anatomically impossible to do. So at which point Willie stood up, raised himself up to his full 5'4" and said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to have to terminate this interview." And the retort was, "Fucking Terminator? You're the fucking Terminator? Who do you think you are? Fucking Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger?" Sorry, I didn't say this. Willie was amazing, right? Because he could keep his cool through anything. And we once had an interview with a parent with a son who was only 14 but seemed to spend his whole time drinking, well, not to put too fine a point on it, shagging, and I don't know what else. And this dad, he said that we had him up, the boy wasn't attending, he said, "He's out the house, we don't know where he is, he's disappeared. We keep looking out the window and he's going back and forth, but we don't know where he is." And he said, "You tell that social worker I hit him." "Well, I never hit him." He said, "Well, I tell a lie, I hit him once when I caught him trying to have sex with his wee cousin." At which point my eyes were starting to stand out and stop, so Willie was totally calm. At the end of the interview, he says, "I don't know what to do with him." A fellow said, "Have you thought of putting some bromide in his teeth?" That's not really funny, is it?
It is now, Bob.
Well, I had some lovely colleagues there. Linda, I've made some very good friends that are still my good friends today, Linda, and through Linda I've come to know her partner Stephen and her good pal Norma. Also Meg, who I got to know in Smithcroft because she was a student there. John Dixon, who might pop in later with his wife, and Gavin and Pat, who I'm absolutely delighted were able to come tonight. Gavin is a fabulous golfer, and one time there was a pupil turned up, and there was a bit of a stramash at the school gates. I don't know if you remember this, Gavin, and somebody was there with a golf club, and Gavin kept his cool at all times and said, "I think you're going to need at least a 7-iron for there." That's one for the golfers. Anyway, I was very happy there indeed. Moved to Renfrew High. Some lovely colleagues are here tonight. Carol, Dorothy and Lorna. Carol and I are not very politically correct. We have some pupils that when we're sharing classes we refer to in code. SGN stands for Specky Ginger Nut. He was one of our particularly loathed pupils. Sorry, Carol, didn't want to bring him up. I've also got a really nice French colleague, Céline, who's managed to come along tonight as well. So we're here. And maybe Julie might pop in, I'm not sure, she's got a wee baby. Also, classroom assistants who are absolutely amazing, Anne Downey, Sally and a drama colleague Fiona. I was hoping Pascal could come tonight, but Pascal's got a bad, he's got a bad leg. Now I'm thinking that might be related to the time that Anne arrived at a night out and sat on his knee, and normally that would be for 5 minutes, but she was on his knee for 45 minutes, right? And I said to him tonight, I said to her, you know, Pascal can't come because of his crutches, and she said, oh, Kerry, I'm doing stretch. It's his birthday, so we can't come. Right, I'm nearly finished. So, what is it like being a teacher? Well, some of you know, I was once asked by a wee girl, Miss, do you like being a teacher? And this was like, you know, in front of other people. And then I slapped her and I said, well, it beats cleaning lavvies. To which she replied, is that what you used to do? So I said, well, yes, I'm not other cleaning. So teaching, exhausting. Other colleagues over there that were Grace, that was our teacher in government skills, were not in the same school as me. Challenging, frustrating, but immensely important and rewarding.